What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm discussing Yarishna Ayala loses the first ever pro wellness competition, Seth Feroce's daughter jacked at 7 years old, Patrick Moore looking huge, Blessing Awodibu and Hassan Mostafa looking enormous and shredded just days out from the Indy Pro and New York Pro, James Hollingshead posing in his off-season, Indy Pro official competitors list for this coming weekend, plus much more. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to start with Seth Feroce's 7-year-old daughter, who is completely jacked. Her name is Emmy the Monster, as he calls her on his Instagram page, and she looks ridiculous. And this photo here is back from when she was 6 years old, so absolutely crazy that she's got this level of muscularity. Now, she does gymnastics. She's not, he's not pushing her into the gym and smashing huge weights and trying to get her to be like a female bodybuilder or anything. She probably just has the awesome genetics from her dad, and plus obviously the work ethic and doing gymnastics is a lot of, body strength sort of stuff as well. So just sort of wanted to highlight that because I thought that was pretty amazing for a 7-year-old. In our next story, we're discussing Patrick Moore looking absolutely huge. Now, I don't know what he's prepping for, if he's prepping right now, but he's looking really, really good. Based off what we've seen from probably like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, he's looking like he's added extra size on top of that, and I think he's looking really, really good right now. And he looks poised to probably bring his best, at least since the Olympia, and I think it was 2019, where he sort of broke onto the scene and looked absolutely fantastic. I think if he can bring that same level of conditioning and bring it just a little bit bigger, then I think he's going to be trouble in any sort of lineup except maybe the Arnold and the Olympia. So let me know what you think in the comments below on that. How do you think Patrick Moore will do in 2021 if he does add this necessary mass that he does need to really be taking out these smaller shows consistently? In our next story, we're discussing James Hollingshead posing in his off-season over 300 pounds, looking extremely dense. He looks very, very good for his off-season. Now, I want to mention as well, I've got an interview that I just did with James Hollingshead going up on this channel very, very soon. I've also got a new channel that I'm starting up as well. It's not quite launched yet, or it might be up actually by the time you watch this video. It's called Desktop Bodybuilding Clips. Now, I'm going to put the link in the description to that channel as well, so you can actually watch it. I'll see if I can put a card up or something like that as well. Basically, it's a channel, so when I do these longer form interviews that are like an hour, 45 minutes or whatever, I'm going to have a few little clips out of those interviews, 1, 2 or whatever, that I'm going to actually put up on this Desktop Bodybuilding Clips channel, so you get a little preview of the whole interview, because some people don't want to sit down and watch an hour, twice a week of different interviews and podcasts. So we're going to be launching some more podcasts on this channel as well, where we're going to have some clips out of those as well. So make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification bell button on Desktop Bodybuilding Clips as well. But just wanted to highlight how James Hollingshead is looking right now in his off season, and how do you think he'll do at the 2021 Mr. Olympia, which he's prepping for. In our next story, Hassan Mostafa is looking ridiculous in this recent photo that he posted up on Instagram, looking extremely hard. Now, this has been sort of a bit of a knock on Hassan as well through this prep. Like, we've seen some photos where he looks really hard, and then there's some photos that came out a week ago and people saying, oh, he looks soft at 2 weeks out. And it's been sort of up and down, and how people think he's actually going to do at that New York Pro in just 1.5 weeks time from now. But it's going to be interesting to see if he actually jumps into the Indy Pro. If I was him, I'd be jumping in that show 100%, because, he's going to stay in America, he said, until he qualifies for the Olympia. So he's staying here with his wife and his new child as well. So if I was him, I'd be jumping in the Indy Pro. And I just have a feeling that that could happen, because we did have Justin Rodriguez jump in there, which we'll discuss a little bit more later. But by this recent photo, he looks really, really hard. And that's been the real knock on Hassan, over the years, that he isn't able to get in condition. And Chris Aceto even said on one of his Instagram lives lately that I was watching, that Hassan is the one guy that he's really sort of, I suppose, struggled with in terms of getting in condition. So he did a recent interview on Fuad Abiad's podcast where he actually said that he's doing Ramadan while prepping for this contest. So Ramadan's on right now, and for those who don't know what it is, basically it's a religious sort of, I don't know if you call it a holiday, it's a religious tradition where you don't eat or drink in daylight hours at all. So he has to, train in the night and get all his food in within 8 hours during the night, stays up all night, and then he sleeps during the day. But because he's eating such little food, and obviously, it's daylight, that he's actually struggling to sleep during the day. So I don't know how he does it. It's got to be extremely hard on my body and got to make prep really hard. I don't know why. If I was him, I'd be doing one of the later shows in the year, so I don't have to, worry about doing Ramadan while I'm actually prepping. But credit to him for actually doing it and looking the way he's looking right now. So it would be interesting to see if he's able to actually get better if he's prepping outside of Ramadan, because I imagine that's got to be super, super hard. And fortunately for guys like him and Big Ramy, because Ramadan changes every year, it goes 2 weeks earlier or so, that it's not falling around the Olympia time at least anyway, because if that was falling, a month out from the Olympia, guys like Big Ramy and Hassan would be in trouble if they're actually going to compete in that Olympia, which obviously Big Ramy is. So credit to Hassan for looking how he's looking, while doing Ramadan. In our next story, we're discussing the Indy Pro competitor list, which have been released for the Open and the 212s. Now that show is on this weekend. I'm going to have a full preview and prediction show coming in the next day or two as well. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that one. But I'm going to go over some of the competitors' names and the late ins that are in this show as well. So in the Open, the top names, I'd say, there's a few other good ones as well. You've got Blessing of Waterloo, Morgan Asti, who's absolutely enormous, very tall and very big. Dorian Hayward, who looks like he's going to bring his best of all time. Justin Rodriguez, who's a late entry as well into this show, which is great to see because he's a top 10 Olympian from last year. Dwayne Walker, who I'm very excited to see with another year of progress under his belt because he made tremendous gains from 2019 to 2020. And then Sean Smith, who's just an absolute mass monster, and he's actually prepped by Patrick Tua as well. And in the 212s, we've got John Jewett, who was late entry, but I did know he was doing that for quite a while. And he's looking absolutely shredded at the minute as well. So if you look at the most recent photos on his Instagram page, he is peeled to the bone. I think he's going to shock a lot of people in 2021. Tonio Burton, who's a guy who I've sort of followed since he turned pro. I think he turned pro. I don't know if it's a USA's or a Nationals, but he's made tremendous gains. And as you can see by this latest photo, it really shocked me. I've been seeing his videos and photos throughout the whole prep, noticing that he's really made some solid improvements, but this photo is sort of blown me out of the water a bit. So he can really shake things up in the 212, in my opinion. A lot of really dense, thick muscle. So I can't wait to see how that looks on stage. Derek Oslin, who I'm a huge fan of his shape, very big fan of him. Samir Trudy, also a fan of his shape and his muscle bellies. They're absolutely crazy. Just it depends if Samir can actually get in condition, because we've, that's been the sort of thing that's been lacking a little bit from him, going to that next level and being one of the real top tier right up there, 212 pros. And then Noel Adami, who actually won this show 2 years ago against my good friend Aaron Pilates, and Aaron got his revenge at the Olympia and placed 9th there, and he fell outside the top 10. But he's obviously a guy with a lot of muscle in that 212 that can do some damage. So it's a really good competitors list, especially in the 212s. Now, I imagine most of these guys that are doing this show are going to go into New York the next week. And I imagine there's going to be added competitors in there as well. So it'd be interesting to see. I would love to see Hassan jump into this show, like I mentioned earlier. I did hear an interview with the promoter of this show as well on muscular development, so credit to them. And he did say there's going to be some late entries, but he did say there's a few late entries today in the 212s, and then obviously Justin Rodriguez jumped in as well. So hopefully we get another one in Hassan or something like that. I think it'd be great to see. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think will win the Open and the 212s at the Indy Pro this weekend? In our last story, we're going to discuss the Pittsburgh Pro, which just went down over the weekend. We had our first ever pro wellness competition, where going into the show, Yarishna Ayala was really the favorite. She's got millions of followers on Instagram. She's got an outrageously good physique as well. She's actually beaten by a girl called Angela Boris. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly either. I'm just just winging it, but it was deserved. I mean, Angela had an amazing physique. Her waist was tiny. I mean, Yarishna has a pretty small waist as well, but Angela's was on another level of tiny. So she did definitely deserve this win. This may be our, 2021 Wellness Olympia champion that we're looking at. And I mean, for good reason too. Tiny waist, very aesthetically pleasing, like a pretty girl. Huge legs, great booty, all that sort of stuff that you need in wellness. And I thought it was well deserved. So credit to Angela. And I think she could be our Olympia champion in 2021. But it's going to be very interesting to see if there's any other girls out there. And let me know in the comments below, are there any other girls out there that are going to sort of shock the wellness scene as we see, the competitions go on over the next couple of weekends. But in the men's physique, also a very interesting result as well, with Kyron Holden actually beating Raymont Edmonds, who's a former Mr. Olympia in that men's physique, only not last year, the year prior. So that was super interesting and sort of a shock result. But when you look at it, Kyron Holden is super thickly muscled, and it makes me wonder, has men's physique gone too far? Is it just these guys the same size or bigger than some of the classic guys? Upper body wise, I mean, Kyron is huge. And I actually wondered about this result, and I thought it was quite close, but when they turned to the back, I think that Raymont looked just a little bit soft from the back. I don't know if it's just the photos or not, because I'm a huge fan of Raymont Edmonds. He's got sort of the same, as in terms of, he's got a shorter torso and the longer legs, which is what I've got. So you're obviously drawn to those sorts of physiques that you can sort of compare structures and stuff to. And obviously a taller guy as well. But Kyron definitely did deserve this win, in my opinion. In third place, we had Aaron Banks, who looked phenomenal. And I'd say he had the best back out of all three. Like crazy thick traps. The spinal erectors are absolutely insane. And he definitely deserved that top 3 as well. So that wraps it up for this video. Also, make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, including the video of James Hollingshead, the interview we just did the other day. It's a really good one. I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. So make sure you do that. And if you like this video and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up and smash that like button as well. So that's it from me. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.